The John Lebang Show has been known to make people laugh, sing, think, scream, throw things in rage, and generally lose their minds. Listener discretion is advised.
Worldwide and out to the greater universe, you're listening to the John Lebang Show.
Isn't it interesting, my friends, how everything seems to be in some kind of short supply? We saw food short supply, TP, hand sanitizer. The most recent addition to this phenomenon is the coin shortage. Out of nowhere, we have some kind of coin shortage. Why would there be a coin shortage unless somebody's hoarding them, right? There was no coin shortage when we were doing our normal daily business. And as soon as we go back to work, or some of us get unlocked down, we're set free again, we have a money shortage. And even some banks are offering to pay you for the coins, pay you more money, cash-wise. And I'm like, now they want to pay you for coins. That doesn't, to me, that is very suspicious, because you can't, how can you, as a business of money, the bank, give more money in exchange for money that is technically of a lesser denomination, unless they're buying them back to hoard them? And I think that's what's going on here. With everything that's been in short supply, the food, everything, there's either been hoarding or destroying. One or the other. And with the money thing, it could be both. If the Federal Reserve is somehow short on change, you have to ask yourself why. And it comes down to, maybe they're bringing the change in and not redistributing it. Maybe they're destroying it. Maybe they're hoarding it. This isn't because Joe Bob down the street has too many quarters in his house because he hasn't put them back into circulation. Remember when the food shortage began and still continues to this day for many items, or the prices have gone up? In fact, you've gotten a little bit of both of those. And you can blame it on the boogie woogie virus, because that's what they do. But they were destroying food. We were seeing it. We were reporting it here. They were destroying food during a shortage, which didn't make sense to anybody, right? Why not just give it away? Why destroy it? Why bury it? Unless you're trying to artificially create the shortage. And to me, that's not really a shortage. It's limiting. Just like they're doing with the ammunition. It's pretty limited on the amounts of ammunition you can purchase these days at your local gun shop. Everything is some sort of limit, whether it be how many you can buy, how many there's available, or just the fact that it's so expensive, how many you can actually purchase with the money you have. So we're here filled with shortages on every level. We have shortages on even being a kind person these days. We're having an uptick in violence, and the country's just so overwhelmed with everything that most of us don't know heads or tails of what's going on. But I'm telling you, as I told you months ago when this all began, they created the conditions to make these things happen. And 4 months into this, give or take a few weeks, we've seen an entire shift inside the United States on how things work. You can't go anywhere, or practically anywhere, without a mask these days because you have to. Sharia law has been implemented covertly using a coronavirus boogie woogie flu thing. It's been that easy. They told you you're going to get sick unless you wear a mask and become fully covered. Some of these people, I've been wearing a mask from the beginning on my own accord. Not because anybody told me to wear a mask. But when they tell you that it must be mandatory, now you have to wonder, especially after how much other things, or how many other things, have taken place in these 4.5 months, going on 5 months now. Almost half a year, folks, of this obscure way of life that we have now turned into some kind of normal behavior. And I told you, what did I tell you? When they were getting ready to re-unleash you after the hard lockdown. Because you wanted to go back to normal, especially you people here in Michigan. You wanted to go back to normal. Well, look at that normal, how well it's turned out. Is it the normal you're used to? I don't know about that. It's sure not a normal I'm used to. So I hope in all this time you haven't become lackadaisical, folks, and you've just you've just gone along, you've acquiesced your freedom to fit in the new normal. Because if this much can happen in 4 months, how much more can happen in the next 4 months? You said, John, it can't be any worse. It can't get any worse, really? How many times have you said this in the past 5 months? It can't get any worse than this. And they find a way to create something. You see, because the conditions have been created, folks. Whoever you want to blame, it's more than just one specific group, because we can see it's a worldwide conspiracy, collusion. You know, we worried about conspiracies, we worry about collusions, we worry about corruption. We're seeing it here. The 3 C's. Conspiracy, collusion, corruption. And the 3 C's are rampant today. And you can't just blame one government official, one form of government. They're all in lockstep over this. It doesn't matter what your country political designation is, whether it's a democracy, a republic, a dictatorship. We're all following the Chinese model right now. It started in China and it spread. not only the supposed virus, but everything that came with it. All by accident, folks, right? All by accident this happened. I heard so many people. That's what it just baffles my brain a little bit, that people can just be so ignorant to what is going on right now. This is not some accidental thing that happened. We know with pretty good certainty that the virus was created in a lab. Fauci had some ties to that. It was close to a wet market in China. Bill Gates practiced for this, and many others joined along with him, including the one that's keeping track of all the numbers. They were ready for it, like they knew it was all going to happen. So they send out a virus that attacks your weaknesses or finds people that are weak and attacks them in their weakness. That's what I've come to conclude in this. Whatever the virus, the attack on our immune system is, it seems to specifically attack your weakness if it gets to you. Now, some of us, they say, are asymptomatic, and, well, okay, maybe we were. Maybe we are. Who knows? But the ones that have implemented all this tyranny are also the ones that are telling us what to do, because they say this virus is as dangerous as they say. We've seen the fudging of numbers to the positive and to the negative, so we don't know anything there. The malpractice media hasn't done any actual reporting, but why should we expect that from them? They've given us the line and they keep pumping it. And every time the line gets tired, they find something else to focus your attention on for a while, to give you a break from that, and then they bring it back. We had the virus, the shortage, then the riots. The virus is back. We're starting to hear about shortages. Guess what's coming after that? Although the violence and the riots and all that just never have gone away, have they? No, they've stuck around. This is the longest temper tantrum I've ever seen in my life. Like, people can't get over things. If you really want to protest the government for their evil doings, their wrongdoings, then why aren't you out there protesting the income tax, which steals from you each and every day? Unless, you don't pay income tax, then I can see why you don't care about that. You don't pay income tax if you don't have a job. Or you really don't pay income tax if you're receiving government money, because the taxpayer who was taxed for that financial aid to whoever needs it also is paying the tax on the money, the income that the person's getting for free. They say it's in that person's name, but it's not really. It's on the taxpayer. Because that person didn't earn that money. He's just getting the money, or she's just getting the money. And so what if it's taxed, which is ridiculous in itself? Government aid shouldn't be taxed. Why should unemployment be taxed? What's the point in that? They have to get their greedy little hands on a handout they give you? That you, through your own efforts and work, for the most part, except for this last stimulus package thing that gave practically anybody who just didn't want to do anything money. Yeah, we got to take a break. I'm not even finished with my thought. We'll continue on the other side of this. Hey, Uncle Shady, where are they going?
Hey, you, get back here. The John Lebang Show will be right back. Are you in need of commercial or residential window cleaning? Do you need your office cleaned? Maybe custodial work? How about some gutter cleaning? If you do, then call Pane in the Glass. For a beautiful shine that's crystal clear, call Pane and the Glass. You can find them on Facebook at Pane and the Glass. You're listening to the John Lebang Show.
It's better than an eye-reader convention.
Welcome back, folks. Thank you for sticking around and joining me, because I know this is the summertime and people would rather be out doing other things than listening to a podcast or a radio show or whatever, because there are things to do, and limited things to do, because you still can't go to a movie theater, you still can't go to a few things. But still, hey, people are going out, they're wearing their masks and going out and doing things, trying to enjoy what left of summer there is, because we've knocked out almost a whole month of it, and we're not far from the dog days of summer, they call it, where we hit the hot part of August. Here in Michigan, we'll get a lot of rain, and that's why I'm trying to do some stuff around the little kingdom I have here, my little kingdom, John Land, Banger Land. So over the next coming weeks, normally we're taking this time off, but because we had the whole fiasco with the computer, we decided that we'll limp through the summer a little bit for you to make up a little bit of time, probably something, and it has for the last couple years anyways. Things have gone down in August and we've been on break, and we've decided, maybe it was a fate from the heavens that our computer broke down when it did, so we'd be ready for what was coming in the next, let's just say up until the election, because I think it's going to be very, very interesting what we're going to see and what we're going to experience. And I do mean experience, folks. Lots of stuff happen in an election year in September and October. You've heard about the October surprise. Well, I'm suspecting, folks, that there's going to be a major October surprise, if not something that happens in September. And I'm just suggesting to all of you that if you've become lackadaisical, maybe you're enjoying the summer, and rightfully so, because, hey, we got to have some kind of leisure time for ourselves. Can't always be worried about work if you're working, or all the insanity that is happening around us. But over the next 45 days or so, I would take great care in preparing for some kind of big event happening between September and October, right up until the election, actually. But that prime spot, that hot spot, is somewhere between September 1st right through Halloween. I would really be watching and being ready for anything to come down, because the conditions have been created for that to actually happen. I can't tell you what, folks. I'm not clairvoyant. But when you look at the landscape and how things have unfolded over the past 4.5, 5 months, even longer if you include the impeachment, which seemed to be a distraction to keep everybody's focus off the Rona at first. Gave you something to do, didn't it? And with the lack of leadership we have, which I think is on purpose, it's not because of incompetence, folks. These people are doing what they're doing because that's what they're supposed to be doing. These are people are all working in concert. Look at it. Trump does nothing on his level and leaves the governors to do it all because, hey, that's actually a great idea. That's what states are supposed to do, take care of their state, right? Why else do you have a governor and their team unless they are to govern that state? So, yeah, that's a great idea. Beautiful concept. Conservatives would go along with that wholeheartedly, and hard Democrats doesn't want Trump involved anyways. So right there, he's actually doing some kind of unification between the both parties and everything. But then the governors run with it, and they just do whatever they please. And if it's something that's, well, a little disturbing to his base, he'll tweet about it because, hey, that's a good thing. That gets nothing done, nothing at all done, but hey, that's great. Of course, when the feds get involved in cities like Oregon, then they have problems with the local politicians because they don't want the feds involved in their problems, even though their problems should have been solved by them weeks ago. So, we're at a point where they're all just intermingling the agenda. And it might be for the two different parties have two different agendas. The Democrats want to see the destruction of Donald Trump, and Donald Trump, I don't think, wants to be president anymore. If we were going without just any kind of conspiratorial BS garbage or anything, if all this is actual, genuine, Mr. Trump is who he says he is, and he isn't some kind of plant or anything weird or anything that some of the people are claiming he is, why would you try? I mean, you just got through with an impeachment. You saw some of your party, some of the people that are supposed to support you, turn against you. Why would you continue? And he doesn't look like he does a whole lot. In fact, he doesn't. But on the other hand, when he declared the national emergency, he was virtually stripped of all of his powers. He couldn't really do anything because of the executive orders that were in place that superseded his executive orders. And he obviously, if it was all by accident, he obviously didn't take the time or didn't have people looking into all of what would happen once he declared this type of national emergency. And unfortunately, it could be either. Either he knew what he was doing and he did it so that things would turn out the way they are turning out, or he had no clue, and when he declared it, he boxed himself in, and there was absolutely nothing he could do. Because once all that took place, everybody had something to do in the government. Once he declared the national emergency, everybody had a place and what they were supposed to do, and all of a sudden, the Trumpster had nothing to do. Because he virtually gave up his power, I think unwittingly, in some regards. But he could have known exactly what he was doing. Because now he doesn't have to do anything. He lets everybody else do stuff. And it's getting on people's nerves. And I understand that. Because a lot of people want to know why Trump isn't doing anything. And I've told you for a long time, once he declared the national emergency, he washed his hands. Go do your stuff, guys. All of you are in charge now. I sit back. I'm going to push the vaccines. That's what he's saying. I'm going to push the vaccines. Everybody's got to get one. We'll get the military to hand them out. So it is what it is, folks. If you're mad that Trump isn't doing anything, realize because of the national emergency, he can't do anything. So if you're losing faith in him that he isn't doing anything, you might want to reconsider that, because he can't now. He can't really do anything. And unfortunately, until the national emergency is rescinded, the office of the president is pretty much useless. Pretty much useless. He can do a couple things that's outside of the purview of the national emergency, or where there's openings. Sure. But that's going to be the same for Biden. Other people are going to be running it. Why do you think they're offering Biden? He's not going to have to do anything. They can continue the national emergency for as long as they want. And the presidency is pretty much a figurehead. Useless at this point. And Biden's going to be even more of a puppet than Trump might be. And I say might, because we don't know. Many of you are conflicted on the Donald. I am on some levels. But I knew once that national emergency happened, because I know the executive orders. I've studied them. I've shown them to you in prior videos and past shows. So when these things happened, I was warning about that when he was going to do the national emergency with the border wall thing there. But look at how it changed. Nobody wanted to take. I'm talking inside the government. None of the agencies that would have the powers to do anything during a national emergency wanted to get behind that emergency. In fact, it was the establishment itself that fought against that emergency, right? Trying to keep funding away. And he had to sign that stupid, what was that? It wasn't the stimulus package, it was some omnibus bill. Remember that? Remember the omnibus bill? So he could get money for the wall maybe the wall's being built, but I have a feeling it's not. Or it's being delayed heavily for when he's gone. Because if he's gone, there ain't no more wall, folks. And all that money that was appropriated for that, I can guarantee isn't going to go back in the kit. It's just going to go poof, gone. Kind of like that, $2 or $3 trillion right before 9/11 in the Pentagon. Rumsfeld comes out and says, hey, we're missing a lot of money. Some kind of scams going on here. And then poof, 9/11 happens and we never talk about it again. All that money's gone. Just disappeared into the ether. Kind of like the gold below the World Trade Center. All that seems to be gone. The coins are being gone. Food's slowly being gone. It's amazing how a lot of people still haven't been able to catch on to all of this. But again, what do we do about it? We've talked about this before. What can we do to change the course of events? Because right now, the average individual feels pretty gosh dang powerless. And I don't blame them. You've got probably the strongest military, industrial, corporate apparatus on the face of the planet in the history of the world over us now. They can spy on you through your phone, through your television. They can track you at will through your phone. So I can see how wanting to do something to protect your freedom, not those people that are tearing down and ripping down the monuments and getting rid of history, the democratic history. It's just, if you change your perspective a little bit, folks, you can see what really is going on, and it's quite incredible. We'll be right back, folks. Stay tuned.
Don't move a muscle.
The John Lebang Show will be right back.
with lots of fun and excitement. Yes!
Jim's Tuxedo and Menswear is your one-stop shop for tuxedos and men's quality suits. We go the extra mile to make sure your tux or suit is the perfect fit. Our huge selection is second to none in the state.
Looking good.
Outstanding customer service.
And we're located on Dix Toledo in Southgate. Call today, 734-285-3253.
Jim's Tuxedo and Menswear is the place to be.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming to Jim's Tuxedos and Menswear.
You know I had to come to the best.
That's right.
Hey, man, it's at the bottom of the hour, man. Do you know where your kids are, man?
If you want to contact the John Lebang Show, feel free to send an email to jlebang@live.com. And if you're on Twitter, look him up at John Lebang. And don't forget to go to his Facebook page at The John Lebang Show. Banger. Now here's John.
So as it comes to prepping, that's what I'm going to be doing over the next few weeks. I was going to get around to that last segment, but I tend to veer off into various subject matter that just sparks in my brain, and hopefully you can keep up with it as we're just doing these shows lately off the cuff. We don't need to script it out. We don't need to. We have it here. You know what I mean? And as far as the daily news is concerned, it's not much to discuss in general. There are little things here and there, but as I've been doing the Daily Brew, I've been just like, it's just this same old random stuff. There's really a lack of actual honest journalism anyways. Everything's slanted one way or another depending on the author. I mean, news items are actual opinion pieces these days instead of some kind of objective viewpoint that gives you the whole story. And with the media continually pumping the narrative of COVID and then the narrative of hate America, that's what they're promoting in many regards when they show or they support groups that are destroying the history of this country, or at least the monuments of the history of this country. And whether you agree with the history or you don't agree with the history, it is the history, and we should not forget the good, the bad, and the ugly. That allows us to better ourselves. And what I've seen in the coming weeks, and this falls into the shortage of things, is that we have a shortage of intelligence, a shortage of being calm, and a shortage of objectivity that is rampant in this country. There are other viewpoints outside of your own, and although many of them may not be based in a factual place, it is people's beliefs. They're so programmed to believe some of the things they do, and especially the youth of today and the history they've been taught. And I'm like, they left out so much of the great history in our education system. And they preached, just by from what I understand of the young people and how they believe and the things they believe, and I'm like, this is the education system we gave them? Well, it's probably better that we don't go back in the fall anymore. Just forget it. If people are being taught only the bad parts of the American experience and not the parts that are just amazing, and they definitely overshadow the bad of this country, yet the bad is focused on, highlighted, shown, even though the examples are small, shown to be the norm in the country. This is how it happened. It's like the police brutality thing. and the police killing. This is not the normal in the country. Yet it's acted like it is the normal. What about all the good cops that are now quitting, by the way? Because they do their job and then they're held responsible because the perpetrator tries to elude, arrest, capture, maybe even points weapons or steals their weapons in some cases and fires it at them. And then the cop doing his job and defending the people of the city, protecting the neighborhoods, they're held responsible because the perpetrator was irresponsible. And you can blame skin color and stereotypes for all of these so-called occurrences, but it's really down to behavior. If the perps weren't doing what they were doing, they wouldn't have attracted the police's attention. Then they wouldn't have had to do whatever they did to get themselves beat up, shot, arrested, whatever. But it's never the perp's fault. In the eyes of many. And like what we saw in Chaz for a while, they were allowing all kinds of grifters, less than exceptional people run around and destroy a small little neighborhood in their city, and it was just great until too many people got killed. And it showed what kind of people they actually were. Then they had to dismantle it and take it out so that the obvious wasn't made obvious to all of us. And the malpractice media, silent as can be when it comes to those perpetrators doing heinous acts against people they supposedly supported. When certain lives matter, except when you don't like that life to matter, then you have to get rid of it so nobody sees it, so nobody can call it for what it is. And again, it's based on what can we do to change all this? And there's nothing we can do. But what we can try to do is remove ourselves from the entire equation. Become sovereign individuals again. And I know that is incredibly difficult with the structure that has been built around us. But if you don't want to be part of the system, you can't engage in the system at all. You have to remove yourself. And if you just want to stick your toe in the system's going to drag you in all the way. And I'm not talking about the U.S. government as it is described in the U.S. Constitution, which technically is the founding document for the government. It is what the government is supposed to be. Many of our elected leaders, which you are now trying to hold their feet to the fire after the fact, it's too late now. Elections are not going to mean a damn thing anymore as far as I'm concerned. Seriously, you vote for Trump as president? He's still under national emergency, which means the power of the presidency is curtailed tremendously. There's not much he can do. And maybe that's why he wants out. He realized that he screwed up. And what's the point if he can't do what he wants to do? Because he's a narcissist. We can agree with that. He likes himself. He's never done anything wrong according to him. Not Trump bashing. I still prefer Trump over Biden, but at this point, the presidency, unless the national emergency is lifted and they're making it impossible to lift it, and Isn't that right, ladies and gentlemen? Isn't that right that they're making it impossible to lift the national emergency? Because once it's lifted, things change. Things can go back to normal. That should be the move, the political movement that you want to get behind, is lifting the national emergency so you can have your freedom back. Because until then, these governors are going to do whatever the hell they please, and there's nothing the president can really do because his power has been curtailed. His power has been lessened because of the national emergency. And if you don't believe me, then you don't know the history of the executive orders and what happens when certain kinds of national emergencies take place. What agencies then become active and actually supersede the president's power? Because the presidency has given that power up in times of crisis. Executive Order 10995 through 11005 are just some of the executive orders you need to read to understand what I'm talking about. So when you talk about Trump and what he's doing and not doing, he can't do a damn thing because he was dumb enough to sign or to declare the national emergency of this kind when he did. He was either dumb or he was part of the whole thing and knew what was going to happen once that national emergency was implemented. You may not know that because you don't take the time to understand what that stuff's about. And then they can pull the wool over your eyes and screw you over because you don't know. You don't know. You're too busy to find the stuff out on your own. You hope somebody will tell you about it if it goes bad. And there's some of us that do tell you about it. Why we tell you about it, I don't know. It's almost a waste of time. Because even if people understand and agree they don't do anything about it, they aren't going to do anything about it. Seriously, the only political way we can change all this is if we all voted for one third party candidate right now, which isn't going to happen. And I'm not supporting any third party because I think all the political parties are corrupted. Every established party, political organization, religious organization, 501c, every one of them have corruption rampant through them. You can't trust any of them. There is no, if you're an American on top of it, there's no reason to join any of these groups anyways, because the concept of being American is self-governance, which means you don't need a government to tell you what to do. You do what is right because that's what is right. But we have too many people that do not know how to self-govern, so then we need a government. And the less we know how to self-govern as human beings, the more government needs to encroach on your freedoms. That's how it works, folks. If you can govern yourself, if you can mind your own business and take care of all your problems on your own, then the government doesn't need to be there to tell you how to do all that stuff. But that's too much work for the average person because that requires thinking. And as we see with the memes on the social medias, absolutely, I shouldn't say everyone, a vast majority of people don't check what they consider the facts in their memes. So if they're not willing to do that work and just pass on that information, which could be false and probably is, and on many occasions have done the work myself to go, this doesn't seem right. So I go check it out, and I find out they're not even close, or it's wrong, or it's a specific viewpoint that omits specific information to come to their little conclusion. Anyways, end of the third break. We'll finish up the show right after this.
Smoke 'em if you got 'em.
Because the John LeBang Show will be right back.
After this. That's guaranteed. Yes. Absolute Skin and Body Care, located in Livonia, Michigan. If you're in need of laser hair removal, skin care, laser tattoo removal, or laser hair regrowth, call Absolute Skin and Body Care. They're located at 37625 Ann Arbor Road, Suite 105 in Livonia, Michigan. Their phone number is 248-533-0448. Absolute Skin and Body Care. Give them a call. You're listening to the John LeBang Show. It's huge. Now I got to tweet about it. So I've decided over the coming weeks, because this is normally our vacation, that I'm going to do sporadic shows. You're still going to get shows here and there because, well, we missed some shows and we're going to, in some way, make up for them. But because of the time of year, we got a lot of things to do, and we also feel, like I told you earlier, that this September, this October may be some of the biggest October or fall surprises we've seen in modern, maybe political history, if not on other realms of the spectrum of things that could happen to us. So we're going to be doing our prepping. We also have some stuff we're writing for upcoming specials and stuff. So just bear with us, folks. We're trying to do our best to kind of get up to speed and do all the stuff we need to do in our personal life. Come the fall, we'll probably be changing things up. To some might be dramatic, especially to the radio stations. But for the most part, I don't think it's going to be that different than what it actually is. We just want to, as we move forward, be in a better position. The events of the COVID and everything like that have just been so heavy on all of us that there's going to be a time where most people are just going to tune all that out. And I think we're really close to that. That's maybe why we're seeing the spikes in the coronavirus cases across the country. Or maybe it's the fact that, well, they had nothing else, so maybe they needed a little more boogie-woogie virus. And you can't tell me that maybe by accident, on purpose, somebody didn't release a second agent. And that's what the second wave's about. I'm just saying. If we're pretty much sure that it's a bioweapon, originally, that came out of China, that Bill Gates and his foundation and the Hopkins Institute all practiced for just before it all happened. Weeks before it all happened, like they knew it was coming. If that's the case, well, why wouldn't it be possible that with the numbers going down and everything kind of equalizing and people wanting to go back to the world, that they didn't just release a second agent to make sure to teach you all a lesson? And with the Smith-Mundt Act and a whole bunch of other things, just the propaganda that they can unleash on you. If you're not willing to go beyond the headline or the meme to find your information out and actually research the stuff they're telling you, yourself, do the work yourself. You don't want to do that. Then you're about ready to be put into a world that they've planned for a long damn time. And it's going to be a world that's going to shock you. You've been shocked the last 4.5, 5 months. You've been shocked. And that's still nothing compared to what is coming your way. And I don't know how much we can actually do about it except withdraw from the system at this point.
The balkanization of the country is in the early stages. What that means in the overall structure of this country is not good. Because if we can't stand united as a country and we rip ourselves apart, other countries that are the second tier and are just waiting to knock off the big boy are going to see an opportunity if they haven't already. And they're going to take an advantage of a country that's burning itself down. Why wouldn't they add gas to the fire if they could? It makes perfect sense. And I know a lot of you don't think like that. No, people don't do that. They sure do. Governments do that. Wicked, evil, communist governments would definitely do that. That's how they get power, by burning things down. We can look back at the history of the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia, the rise of Hitler, the Maoist revolution. They burn, pillage, and destroy everything in their way. And if you don't submit to it, well, you're a goner. But that's the price of freedom. Because if you're just going to surrender, and they're going to be able to pick and choose when you become a useless eater, then you're going to die at their hands, on their watch, the way they want you to go. Probably on your knees, begging for your life. That's how tyrannies work. And if we don't watch out, and I think it's almost too late, but, trying to be optimistic here a little, if we don't watch out, we're going to march ourselves right into another Hitler, another Mao, another Bolshevik revolution. If not worse, because if we rip ourselves apart and then, let's say China or Russia tag team us or even fight us on their own, if we're already destroying ourselves, the greatest country in the world with the biggest military might in the world won't be able to do a whole lot to defend itself against an encroaching force when we can't get together and be on the same side. You want to get rid of corruption? Well, you can't vote for the Democrats for sure, because they're as corrupt as can be. I know the alternative are the Republicans, who, for the most part, are linguini spines and couldn't do a damn thing if they tried to get it done. So if you want a political solution, you better find a third party that everybody can get behind, or a third candidate that everybody can get behind, who's promoting freedom and not just a lesser version or a worse version of the other two parties. But if you don't think there's a political solution, then you better prepare yourself to be to remove yourself from the entire thing, or to stand up and protect yourself, because we all know that you can only remove yourself so far. And especially if you don't live in some extremely rural area, the chances of mobs and hordes and whatever else coming down on you, encroaching on your space, making your life more difficult, well, that's highly likely it's going to happen if you're not out there you're going to be in big trouble. So I keep saying, don't keep complacent. Don't become apathetic. Keep your preps up. Keep stocking up food and water, ammunition, medical supplies. I would almost say some building supplies would be a good idea at this point. Get yourself a flashlight, some walkie-talkies, because if for some reason the communication grid is dismantled or disrupted, you're going to need to be able to communicate with people. So CB radios, walkie-talkies are great. Solar power generators, not a bad idea to look into right now. Something where you can at least have backup power, if for nothing else, when your house is free of power because some storm came rolling through, you'll have some kind of generator there. But man, you need water, you need food, all that. And you need it more than ever. And they're making it increasingly hard to gather these items. There are so many limitations on what you can get. And most of the limitations aren't because too much have been purchased. It's because they've been limited in their distribution, if not entirely removed from the market. Like the N95 masks. How easy is it to find a 3M N95 mask right now? It's virtually impossible. And if you are finding them, you're paying big money. Why? Well, 3M's still making them. Who's getting them? Who's getting them? The government, other governments. They have first dibs on all that. So they're holding it for themselves and not for you. It's not like the government, whether it be Trump or anyone else on the government level, on the governor level, nobody's handing out the N95s. They're handing out the cheapy, crappy masks. And most of you don't know the difference between qualities. And I'm not saying you're stupid for it, because it's not something that we really needed to know up until now. We as a country weren't under Sharia law where we had to wear masks. I mean, it's like beyond Sharia law, because it's not only women having to wear the face mask, but now guys have to do it. So it's beyond Sharia. What a crazy world we live in, folks. I hope you got something out of this show today. Just us talking, discussing. Just hope you all are prepared or getting more prepared. The next 45 days or so are crucial to your preps. And if nothing comes down in September or October, although that October surprise happens practically every election cycle, what's the worst that you have some extra stuff hanging around? You have some extra medical supplies. That's always good to have. You have some extra foods. Well, you don't have to go shopping if everything normalizes again. You have water. Well, you don't have to. You've got it already. You're good. That is if nothing happens. If something happens, look at how smart you were to get prepared. And with that, I think I'm going to get on out of here, folks. Thank you for tuning in to the broadcast. Hope you all stay safe, are ready, prepared, and aware. And if you need to listen to anything, any portion of this broadcast or any other portions, or if you just want to find out what we're doing outside of the show, go to that website, www.jalebang.com. And until the vibrations of my vocal cords reach your ears again, I'm John Lebang, thanking you all. And until next time, we're signing out from the Banger Studios.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have liftoff. Tune in again next week. Same time, same space, same